My personal opinion, one of the most overlooked things that can be had in a garden is chickens. And this is my chicken coop and how I take care of them every day. So other than feeding chickens and all that stuff, there's a couple things that we try to do, at least check on every day. And today we kind of have to add something, so there's another extra step. But it's good to show because this really helps keeps the chickens happy and gives them something to do and kind of adds to their diet a little bit. I don't know if you remember when I was shoveling chicken poop out of the hen house, which I do quite often, I said that we add hay into the coop every once in a while. And today is that day. We just got some rain. And it's another one of those situations where if you fall in the chicken coop, you're gonna have to cut your leg off. Raising chickens for about 10 years, and when we lived up in zone 6, we had a triangular coop that I built, which was a huge pain in the butt. And I couldn't get in it unless I was like squatted down, walking like this, and it was terrible. Came back home into zone 8, we decided to make it a little bit bigger, easier to get into because I couldn't get into the other coop. My wife had to do it all the time. So we ended up with this. Over the years, it's kind of gone through some hell, and I'll show you what happened. We had a big hurricane a couple years ago, and I don't know if you can see it. I'll try and show you. There's a tree that was from here all the way around Big Base, fell on top of the coop, and it stopped all the way out in my garden over there. Like the head of the tree was all the way past my garden. So we had to rebuild it, and I had just built the coop. It was a super big pain, but I was sunk the wood for the main structure for the hen house in concrete. So I didn't want to like tear it down and rebuild it because I had done all that work. So we got some old fence posts that somebody was getting rid of, some fence planks, because at the same time, like everybody's fences got knocked down, and we rebuilt the coop. And so you can see this is just fence posts that we screwed into the original frame. We had to replace some of the wood and stuff like that. But we get a lot of predator issues. So we have like raccoons every night. I put out trail cameras. There's like 5 or 6 raccoons in. We've caught them in the coop a few times. And actually during that hurricane, the hurricane sat on us for like 4 or 5 days. I think it's 4 days. And the tree was on it, and it was not safe to get out and do anything. And the chickens were actually trapped. They couldn't get into the hen house. So they had to stay over in this section with the tree laying on top. And then finally, when the weather started to let up in the middle of the night, something went in and got them. So we've had to go through a couple generations. I mean, that's just kind of raising chickens as part of it. It sucks, which is why we usually don't name our chickens. But we've done some serious security measures in here, and I'm gonna show you what they are. I'm gonna go in the coop and show you what we made, but you can't see it because I have this shade put up. And we put this up right here just to keep it cooler for the chickens because it gets so hot. And it really helps and keeps the water down and keeps it from being real muddy and stuff like that in there. Now, unfortunately, I cheaped out, which I shouldn't have done. And I'm a little short a couple feet here, and right at the entrance is super muddy. So that's why we put the hay in, but it also gives them something to eat. But we built this door here on tracks. So when we open it, you can see how it goes up and down. That allows us to shut them up completely at night. Because once we did that, we noticed that the door here, so we have this egg door, and it was originally just this, like some hinges, and then there was a hole cut out that opened, but we saw that the raccoons were coming and pulling them out. Man, they're smart little boogers. Had to reinforce it, and I just brought some wood out and reinforced it, and we've had no issues since. But you know, every night and every morning we've got to come out and open it and shut it. But that's in our area. I mean, we're backed up to woods, as you can see behind me, so there's just a whole lot that happens as far as like wildlife getting in. And we have foxes, raccoons, they be sweating the coop constantly. So we've had to like fence it in completely. We've had hawks dive at it, owls, and stuff like that. So we keep it all boxed in completely. And that way they're nice and safe and we don't lose anymore. Every day we give them a little bit of layer feed. And then this is just some leftover salad. And we also put some oregano in there because it helps with infections and stuff like that if there ever is any. And I have not let them out yet, and they're pissed about it. They want to get out bad, but I don't want them to get them out because they're going to be all over me constantly. And that's why in the beginning you saw me do the double lock on the door, because raccoons can actually figure out how to, they're smart. They can figure out how to unlock it and stuff like that. So that's why we have just a cheap little carabiner. So great technology now that you can get those little carabiners like everywhere. I find them all over the place. But just that right there, they can't figure out. Sucks not to have thumbs, doesn't it? But you're gonna see right now, they're gonna pour out. Our door, we actually have hooked to some weed eater line. It comes through the fence, and then we have a carabiner that holds it onto a screw, and that's it. And that's been enough to keep the varmint out of there. So we do have a chicken that has a name, and she's not out yet, and it's kind of a sad story. So here's a warning. If you don't want to hear a sad story about a chicken, move forward about 30 seconds. Because as soon as she comes out, I'll tell you why she has a name and why she's so important for our coop. So this old gal right here, we call her TBI, traumatic brain injury. And see how she doesn't have a comb on top of her head? She's old, she doesn't lay, but she's a warrior. So I came out one night and I found a raccoon in the coop. It killed 3 chickens and had her pinned down and pulled off her head, her like top of her head. And I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? So ended up getting the raccoon out. I won't tell you what happened to the raccoon, but it wasn't pretty. And we brought her back. We got her like some IV fluids. We were like cleaning it constantly with like saline and stuff, and she didn't come out of the coop for like a month. Then like 2 days later, we found her with her legs stuck in the door hanging upside down, and we thought she was dead. She had just gotten stuck and she had a traumatic brain injury. But moving forward over time, she's now healed. Now she doesn't lay and she didn't lay, but because she made it through all of that, we can't get rid of her. She's like the queen of the coop. Wherever she goes, she's always got somebody that follows her. They all have little personalities and they always flip over their food, and that's up to them to figure out. Specifically, don't give them names, because if something like that happens, it eliminates that level of sadness to an extent. It's always sad when you lose a chicken. Now, we have 9 chickens and we've gone a year without anything coming into the coop, and that's because we've done these modifications. Because once the animals learn that they're here, boom, they come and they know. So we haven't had any issues. We still have the chickens, they're good. And we get 1 egg a day. So we have 9 chickens. 1 doesn't lay, 1's getting older, so it's like laying half the time. So we're getting about 1 egg a day right now. It's plenty of eggs. My watering container, and it's an auto feed, so we just check it every day. And we always leave these buckets of water out so we can fill it quickly, because in the heat, you don't want them to go without. But we've sunk everything in concrete all the way around. And then we built, we put chicken wire all the way across. Let me be honest, I'm aware that this is not the most beautiful coop ever, but it houses the chickens. It's comfortable for them. They're happy, they're giving us eggs, and it was affordable. And so we're gonna get the tarps off of this winter and put like an actual roof covering on it. It's got wood underneath, but we didn't want it to rot out. So we're gonna get some corrugated plastic and put on top, and that should help. Maybe even get some tin, kind of depends. And then that will help with the rotting and stuff like that inside with the wood, and keep them happier and drier. A truth moment, Shari is always out here by the chickens. Why do you think that is? Shari, are you trying to get a chicken snack? Straight up, dogs are nasty like that. They're gonna get some chicken snacks every once in a while, but it's what keeps her going. The eggs and the compost, these ladies do it all. I mean, listen to them. No sound. They're super quiet. They're happy. They don't really do anything. If they were make noise, it's because of roosters, stuff like that. We have no roosters. We have access to chicks when we need them. You can generally find chicks and chickens on like Facebook Marketplace or something like that. Tractor Supply has them every spring. They have them in the summertime too, so you can get them. They get them in batches, so you can get chickens and raise them and stuff like that. They're super easy. I can't say enough about my chickens. We love them. We don't really eat a lot of meat, so we don't need to raise cows and pigs and all that stuff to sustain our lifestyle. We eat a lot of fish, but I also live next to the water, so I go fishing a lot, and then we catch our fish as much as we can. Everything's about supplementing. We don't just totally live, we don't ever buy eggs, but we don't just totally live off of stuff that we catch or hunt or anything like that. We're able to kind of supplement, and sometimes we supplement heavy and sometimes we don't. Happy medium for us, because then we know that, hey, if we need it, we can go get it, but if we have to have it, we probably should buy it. And we're still sustaining ourselves as much as we can and being realistic about it. Now, if I needed to, I could do it, but I would have to spend like every day, all day out there. I couldn't be doing podcasts and YouTube videos and, you know, all that stuff. I'd have to be focusing solely on that, and that's really difficult. This helps us. The big question is, how much did this chicken coop cost us? Now, let's talk about I built this in 2017, and the year is 2022 right now. You haven't jumped into the future quite yet, but the price then was about $200 to build this. And I could actually, this hen house is big enough to fit about 4 more chickens in technically. The run may be a little small for that many more, but it is a possibility. So nowadays it's probably about $300 to build this yourself. And I gotta tell you, I am no carpenter, okay? I am the worst carpenter. I mean, seriously, look at my coop. It's functional. I wouldn't live in it. So the total time every day to take care of the chickens, 3 minutes. That's it. Took me, if I have to do more, fill up water, it's an extra minute or 2. If I don't have to fill the bucket, it's an extra 2 minutes. And then to put the hay in every once in a while, I mean, it takes 5 minutes to put that in. It's nothing. Once you get it set up, it's easy, it's good to go. You get a lot out of it. There's nothing better. Having chickens is the cornerstone of my garden.